All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are going on a bit of a treasure hunt,
hmm
but I have to warn you, if you're picturing gold corns and, pirate maps, you are way off base.
Indeed. We are not looking for buried chests. We are looking for something, well, much bigger, much heavier, and honestly, much stranger.
I want you to imagine a movie for a second. It's like a cinematic mix of Indiana Jones meets, I don't know, the Wolf of Wall Street, maybe with a dash of Blade Runner.
Okay, I'm with you.
Picture an explorer. They're hacking their way through a dense jungle, sweating, swatting away bugs, and they stumble upon this massive vine-covered temple.
Right.
But when they wipe away the moss, it's not ancient stone, it's corrugated steel. It's a mothballed textile factory.
That's a compelling image. And instead of a whip, this explorer is holding a tablet.
A tablet running AI valuation software. Exactly.
Yeah.
We are diving into the world of the World Asset Salvage Corp. Now, I know, that sounds like a sci-fi mega corporation from some dystopian novel.
It really does.
But the documents we're looking at today, they outline a very real, very grounded solution to a massive global problem. We are talking about the global garage sale of giants.
That is the perfect way to frame it. The sheer scale of what we call stranded assets is just, it's hard to wrap your head around.
It really is.
And we are looking at a comprehensive proposal for a global registry and exchange. It's specifically designed to find these assets, verify that they actually exist,
Which is the key part.
and crucially, that they work, then value them,
Oh.
and then put them back into the economic engine.
Okay, so before we get into the tech stack and the business model, which, by the way, involves everything from satellites to blockchain, let's define what we are actually talking about here.
Good idea.
When we say stranded asset, I feel like people might picture, I don't know, a laser printer left in an old office building or a forklift with a flat tire.
Sure.
But the source material is talking about something on a totally different magnitude.
Oh, much, much bigger. We are not talking about office chairs or used laptops, not at all. We are talking about industrial capacity that has been frozen in time.
Frozen in time.
The sources list some specific examples that really paint the picture of the scale here.
Yeah.
Think of a textile mill that just stopped running one day because the parent company went bust. Or a steel plant that is listed as 90% complete on government paper, but in reality it's idle and rusting because the funding was cut off.
One of the examples that it stuck out to me, and honestly, I found this hard to believe at first, was imported machinery sitting in crates that was never installed. That happens. People just buy million-dollar machines and leave them in the box.
It happens more than you'd think,
Mm-hmm.
especially in public works projects
Yeah.
or large industrial expansions in developing markets.
Mm.
Well, think about how these projects work. A government gets a loan. They rush to buy the equipment to secure the budget.
Right. Use it or lose it.
Exactly. But then an election happens. The new administration cancels the project, or the budget for the building itself dries up.
So you end up with brand new, high-value equipment just...
Sitting in shipping containers, decaying while the world moves on.
That is wild. It's just sitting there.
Or consider the technological angle.
Mm.
Photochemical equipment.
Okay.
The world went digital, so Kodak and others, they stopped using it.
Mm.
But that doesn't mean the equipment is broken.
It's just obsolete for them.
It became obsolete to the mass market, sure, but it still has immense value to a niche market of analog film producers or, say, teaching labs.
So the mission here, as I understand it from the documents, is to act as the bridge, to find these white elephants, prove they aren't just scrap metal, and then find someone who actually needs them.
Exactly. It's an arbitrage play. The author of this concept, they realize there's a massive inefficiency in the global market.
A huge gap.
A huge gap. On one side, you have equipment decaying, which is essentially waste. It's a liability. On the other side, you have companies desperate for capacity.
And they're buying new equipment at full price, dealing with inflation and long lead times.
Right. The World Asset Salvage Corp is the mechanism to connect those two problems and, well, cancel them out.
It's the ultimate one man's trash is another man's treasure scenario, but on an industrial global level.
It is. The mission statement in the source analysis is all about cutting waste, speeding up projects, and stretching budgets. The mantra is basically buy once, use fully.
I like that.
It's a rejection of the idea that we always need to dig more iron out of the ground to build a new machine, when a perfectly good one is just sitting there, idle.
Okay, so let's unpack the how, because this is where I start to get a little skeptical.
As you should.
It's one thing to say, hey, there's a factory in the jungle, let's sell it. But if I'm a buyer in Germany or the US and I'm looking at a used piece of machinery halfway across the world, my first thought is, I'm getting scammed.
Of course.
How do I know it's not just a pile of rust? How do I know it's actually there?
That is the ground truth problem. And you are right to be skeptical. In these markets, records are often missing. Or worse, they're falsified.
Right.
So this proposal, it attacks that problem with a very sophisticated tech stack. It starts with discovery. You can't sell what you don't know exists.
And they aren't just driving around looking for smokestacks, I take it. They're using some pretty heavy tech.
Right. It starts with document AI. But I want to be clear about what that actually means. It's not just scanning a PDF.
Okay.
Imagine parsing through thousands, literally thousands of pages of procurement records, audit files, and government tender documents.
Okay, I want to get under the hood here because document AI sounds great in a press release, but we're talking about government bureaucracies in, developing nations. These aren't neat Excel spreadsheets. We're probably talking about coffee-stained PDFs and scanned receipts from 5 years ago.
You were exactly right. And that is actually the specific superpower of this discovery layer. You aren't just looking for a file that says stranded asset. That file doesn't exist. Nobody writes down, I wasted $10 million.
Right.
The AI is doing detective work. It's looking for discrepancies.
Give me an example. What does a discrepancy look like to an algorithm?
Okay, so imagine the AI is scanning 10,000 pages of procurement logs for a provincial government. It finds a receipt. $4 million for high-voltage switchgear 2019.
Okay, sounds normal enough.
Then it cross-references that with the utility grid's output logs for that region.
And it sees nothing.
Exactly. The money went out, the equipment was delivered, but the grid shows 0 voltage increase in that sector.
Yeah.
That is a massive red flag.
Wow.
The asset exists on the expense sheet, but it's invisible on the performance sheet. That is a suspected asset.
So it's finding the ghost in the machine. But you can't sell a suspicion. You need proof. The source material mentions satellite imagery, which honestly sounds a bit like we're spying on them.
It is a bit like spying, but it's open source intelligence. If that $4 million switchgear is supposed to be in a specific substation, the satellite looks at that coordinate.
And you're not just looking for the building.
No, we're looking for signs of life.
Heat signatures.
Heat, movement, cars in the parking lot. There is a specific technique called change detection.
Okay.
If a factory roof hasn't changed its thermal profile in 3 years, meaning no machines are generating heat inside, and the parking lot is empty, that tells you the 90% complete factory is actually just a cold shell.
Okay, so the AI suspects that the satellite confirms it's cold, now you have to send a human being in.
Right.
And this is where I get worried about the lemon market again. Just because it's there doesn't mean it works.
And that is where the verification layer comes in. This is arguably the most critical innovation in the whole document.
Why is that?
It's designed to be tamper-proof.
Because if I'm that buyer in Germany and the machine is in a warehouse in some remote province, I need to be 100% sure the video I'm seeing is real.
Correct. So the source outlines a mobile app for field verifiers. But it's not just a camera. It captures geo-tagged video and photos. It forces the inspector to be at that specific coordinate.
Okay.
And then, and this is key, it uses blockchain technology.
I knew it, blockchain. I have to be honest, whenever I hear blockchain in 2026, my eyes glaze over a little.
I'm with you.
Is this actually useful or is it just hype?
No, I'm with you on the skepticism usually.
Yeah.
But here, it's not about crypto or NFTs. It's about being a digital notary.
A digital notary.
When the inspector records that video, the app takes a hash, a digital fingerprint of the video file, combined with the GPS coordinates and the exact timestamp.
So it locks the video to that specific place and time?
Instantly. And it puts that fingerprint on an immutable ledger. So if the inspector tries to upload a video from last week, rejected. If they try to edit out a patch of rust or a cracked casing, the hash changes and it's rejected.
It forces honesty.
It forces ground truth. For a buyer, that is the difference between a gamble and a verified asset.
And on top of that, they use Vision AI during the inspection.
Yes. While the inspector is panning the camera, the app is scanning nameplates and serial numbers.
What for?
It instantly matches them against OEM parts lists. It confirms, yes, this is a 2018 model Siemens turbine, not a 2008 model. It removes human error or, human deception from the equation.
That is a huge layer of trust. It transforms a risky gamble into a verified data point.
It creates asset intelligence. which is a great segue.
To the business model.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because all this tech satellites, AI, blockchain, it costs money. How does this thing actually generate revenue?
Well, the obvious one is just selling this stuff, right?
Yes, the brokerage fees.
Yeah.
That's the standard model. You sell the factory, you take a cut. But the source material goes much deeper into the economics.
Huh.
The value proposition for the buyer is just staggering. We are talking about 60 to 90% savings compared to new builds.
60 to 90%. That's massive. If you are setting up a manufacturing plant, saving 90% on your equipment is the difference between profitability and bankruptcy.
Absolutely. And it's not just cost, it's speed. The source highlights this speed factor.
Right.
In the current global economy, supply chains are still strained. If you order a new custom production line from Europe, you might wait 18 months, 2 years for delivery.
But this brownfield capacity is sitting there right now.
Exactly. You bypass the lead times, you buy the capacity that already exists. That speed is worth a premium to a company that needs to hit the market now.
The outline also mentions the refurb margin, so they aren't just flipping the asset as is.
Not always. I mean, sometimes the asset is distressed. It needs work.
Right.
So there is a revenue stream in managing the project of fixing the machine. If the machine needs new bearings or a control system update, the World Asset Salvage Corp, or its partners, can manage that and take a margin.
But here is where it gets really interesting to me. The data exhaust. The source material calls it monetizing data exhaust. What does that even mean?
This is the hidden gem. Even if you don't buy the machine, the information about the machine has value.
Ow.
Think about insurers and banks.
Okay, break that down. Why does an insurer care?
If a registry knows that a specific factory is idle or that its maintenance has lapsed for 3 years, that changes the risk pricing. If I'm insuring a factory that I think is running, but it's actually been a ghost town for 2 years, I'm pricing my risk completely wrong.
Right. Or if a bank is holding that factory as collateral for a loan.
Exactly. If the bank thinks the collateral is worth $10 million, but our satellite and verified inspections show it's a rusted Hulk worth scrap value, the bank needs to know that.
Wow.
Selling that asset intelligence to financial institutions could be a massive revenue stream. It turns the registry itself into a product.
Now let's pivot to the ugly part of this, the P in pestle politics.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be real, if a government built a steel mill and then let it rot for 5 years, that is not just an accident. That is usually a crime scene.
Or at least a monument to incompetence.
Yeah.
You are touching on the single biggest risk factor in this whole model: political heat.
Right. If I'm the governor who approved that mill, and you show up with your satellites and your blockchain proving I wasted $100 million,
You're not getting a Christmas card.
I am not going to thank you. I'm going to try to shut you down.
Precisely. You are exposing a white elephant. And in the source documents, they treat this almost like a hostage negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot just walk in and shame the government. You need a strategy to let them save face.
And the outline calls this the split brand strategy. Break that down for me. Why do we need 2 different companies to sell one machine?
It's a survival mechanism. It's really clever, actually. The source suggests separating the organization into 2 entities. First, you have the foundation.
Okay.
This is a neutral, nonprofit registry. Its job is just to set the standards, hold the data, and be the source of truth.
So it's the good cop.
Exactly. It lowers the political heat because it's not trying to make a buck. It's just trying to create transparency and help with sustainability goals.
And governments like signing memos of understanding with foundations?
They love it. And then you have the operating co, the UpCo,
The bad cop?
the for-profit shark. It does the deals, the refurbishment, the brokerage. By splitting them, you allow governments to save face by cooperating with the foundation.
Yeah.
While still having a commercial engine to actually move the metal.
That's smart. That leads us into the social and legal factors, the whistleblower channel.
Yes. This connects back to the tip line. Engaging the community to report waste.
But there is a dark side here too, right? The danger to the verifiers.
A very dark side.
If I'm a local villager and I report that the governor's factory is empty, am I putting a target on my back?
That is the big threat in the SWOT analysis.
Yeah.
Corruption pushing back. The mitigation strategy here is first, strictly anonymous tipping.
Okay.
And second, using local affiliates. You don't send a foreigner in a suit to inspect the site.
Right.
You hire a local engineer, someone who knows the lay of the land, knows who to pay administrative fees to, let's call them that, and how to stay safe.
Right. Let's look at the economic factors in the pestle analysis. We touched on inflation.
CapEx inflation is a major, driver. New stuff is expensive. That makes old stuff attractive.
Simple as that.
But also, in developing markets, operators are very cost-sensitive. They need capacity fast, and they can't afford European or American new build prices. This model serves that market demand perfectly.
What about the legal quagmires? That just sounds like a nightmare. Title disputes, liens, missing paperwork.
It is the legal quagmire. The source documents are very clear that this is a major blocker, a huge one.
I can imagine.
You might find the machine, but you can't find the owner. Or 3 different people claim they own it.
So what's the solution? Just walk away?
The proposal is something called the legal fast lane. They propose using pre-approved templates and escrow accounts.
How does that help?
Instead of fighting a 5-year court battle over who owns it, you use standardized contracts that say, we will put the money in escrow, and once the title is cleared, you get paid. It bypasses the need for perfect clarity before you start moving.
That's clever. It decouples the physical sale from the legal mess.
Exactly.
Okay, let's pivot to the opportunity. Sustainability, the green pitch. I feel like sustainability gets slapped on everything these days, but here, the math seems pretty direct.
It is incredibly direct. The source argues we need to move beyond recycling. Recycling is actually low on the hierarchy.
Why?
You have to melt the steel down and start over. That takes a huge amount of energy.
So the hierarchy is recommission, repurpose, recycle.
Right. Recommissioning, just turning it back on, is the greenest thing you can do. The carbon math here focuses on CO2 avoided.
Because every ton of steel you don't pour for a new factory, it's a massive carbon saving.
Exactly. Concrete and steel production are huge carbon emitters. If you reuse an existing structure, you're avoiding all those emissions. The source also mentions Scope 3 emissions.
Which are the emissions in your supply chain, right?
Yes. And for big corporations, meeting their supply chain emission targets is getting harder and harder. Buying verified reused capacity helps them hit those targets. It's not just good for the planet, it's good for their regulatory compliance.
And the branding advice in the source was funny but true. Do not call it failure recovery.
No, nobody wants to buy failure. You call it the Global Reach Exchange or the Industrial Recommissioning Network. You focus on savings, speed, and climate impact.
You reframe the narrative.
Completely. From cleaning up a mess to optimizing resources.
So we have the concept, the tech, the business model, the risks. How do you actually pull this off? The source outlines a very specific implementation plan, a 90-day pilot.
The crawl, walk, run approach. I love this part of the document because it is so tactical.
It's grounded.
Very grounded. It doesn't say go global immediately. It says take 12 weeks.
So let's break it down week by week, weeks 1 to 4. The scope and source phase.
Right. You pick one sector. The source suggests textiles. And you pick one geography, say Vietnam or a specific state in India.
Don't boil the ocean.
Don't try to save the whole world at once. You load 3 to 5 years of procurement PDFs just for that sector, that region, into the AI.
So you are building the haystack and looking for the needles.
And you launch the bound tip line in that specific region. You run ads saying, report idle factories, earn rewards. You are priming the pump for discovery.
Then comes weeks 5 to 8. Verify and market. The document says train 5 verifiers. Why only 5?
Because you are stress testing the app and the process. You don't need an army yet. You need to watch these 5 people closely.
Okay.
Are they actually going to the site? Are they trying to trick the GPS? You aim to inspect maybe 20 assets.
And you aren't putting these on a public website like eBay yet?
No. This is the closed buyer council.
Explain that.
You go to 3 or 4 major global textile firms, companies you already trust. And you say, look, this is a pilot. We have verified these 10 machines. They are 2018 models. They are 80% off. Do you want them?
So you are curating the demand.
Exactly, which leads to the final sprint, weeks 9 to 12, the close. The goal here isn't to make $1 million.
It's proof of concept.
Proof of concept. The goal is to get 3 signatures. If you can move 3 complex assets from a dead state to a sold state in 90 days, you have proved the model works. You have the KPIs to go raise real venture capital.
The source also gives these playbooks, concrete examples of what these deals look like. Let's look at playbook 1, textile to denim. Why is that a specific playbook?
This is a great example of repurposing. You find idle ring-spinning frames, standard textile machines.
Okay.
Maybe the original factory failed because it couldn't compete on basic cotton shirts. Market is brutal. But you replace the bearings, you convert the setup, and suddenly you have a production line for denim.
And denim is a higher value product.
High demand, robust market. You aren't just restarting a failed business plan, you are pivoting the hardware to a new, better use.
Okay, playbook 2 was photo to niche.
This one is kind of nostalgic. Old photochemical gear, Kodak doesn't need it. The mass market doesn't need it.
But someone does.
But niche analog film producers, teaching labs, they are desperate for this stuff because nobody makes it new anymore.
So it's safeguarding industrial history, in a way. In Playbook 3, unfinished steel. That sounds hard.
This is the hardest one. You have a massive steel plant that is half built. You can't just finish it easily.
So what do you do?
So the playbook says, strip it. Take the mobile components, the cranes, the compressors, the generators, sell those, the easy to move.
And the building?
Then scrap the rest. Don't fall into the sunk cost fallacy of trying to save the concrete shell.
Ruthless, but practical.
That's the core of this whole concept, radical practicality.
So where does this go in the future? The speculative futures section of the outline suggests some pretty wild ideas.
It gets really interesting here. Well, once you have the data, you can build digital twin passports.
What's that?
Imagine every major industrial asset in the developing world having a digital identity. It contains its maintenance logs, its inspection hashes, its ownership history.
It's like a Carfax for factories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that leads to climate-aligned finance. If you have that passport, development banks could offer pre-approved credit lines. If you buy a verified green asset from this exchange, you get a lower interest rate.
That changes the economics even more. A huge incentive.
A huge incentive. And then there is outcome prediction. Using AI not just to read documents, but to predict probabilities.
Okay.
Before you even send a verifier to the jungle, the AI tells you there is an 82% probability this machine can be saved. It optimizes your fieldwork.
The ultimate vision described is turning the world's waste into a transparent liquid market.
It creates liquidity where there was only stagnation.
Yeah.
And coming back to that data exhaust, the source suggests that eventually selling the data might be the real unicorn business.
Not the machines.
Not even the machines. Even if you don't sell the machine, telling a bank, do not lend against this asset, it is rusted through, is valuable intelligence.
It's the difference between a bad loan and a saved $1 million.
Exactly. Transparency creates value out of thin air.
So we've gone from a rusting hulk in the jungle to a certified carbon-saving asset on a digital exchange. It's a pretty incredible journey.
It really challenges the fundamental assumption that new is better. We are so conditioned to want the shiny new object.
Always.
But this model proves that there is immense hidden value locked inside our own inefficiencies.
It's a garage sale of giants indeed.
And a necessary one. We can't keep building new things forever while the old things rot.
So here is the final thought for you to mull over. The source mentioned monetizing data exhaust. In a world where physical things decay, they rust, they rot, they break down, is the most valuable asset actually in the information about what is sitting idle?
Does knowing the truth about the physical world become more valuable than the physical world itself?
That is a question worth a deep dive of its own. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one.